Good evening, everyone. It's Sal, Stretford Post. How you all doing? Hope you're all doing well. Welcome to Chatterbox, guys. Hope you're doing well. Got there in the end. Bloody hell. Yeah, lost in my words and stuff. Welcome, everyone, to Chatterbox. Hope you're doing well, guys. Before I start, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to smash the like on the video. All that stuff, guys. Let's have a little chat about Manchester United, of course, guys. That's why we're here. To have a little bit of chat about Manchester United and what's going on with Manchester United, in regards to a transfer, future transfer aspirations, of course. I mentioned a few weeks ago about Tonali, who plays for Newcastle. And of course, I had a number of Newcastle fans coming at me saying that Tonali's never going to leave Newcastle United. He's happy at Newcastle United. He's never going to leave, blah, de, blah, de, blah. And lo and behold, links to Tonali have become more potent over this last 48 hours or so. It started with the Arsenal links, and now it's being converted over to the Manchester United links. Now, Tonali will cost a lot of money. This is the thing. And Tonali is a summer option for Manchester United. He's not a traditional number 6, so to speak, but he is more like a number 8 kind of player. I think what Man United need to look for in the transfer market is a traditional number 6. I admire Tonali. I think Tonali's a fabulous player, and I think he'll do fabulous at Man United if he came to Man United. But we obviously have to fill up the positions that need filling before we do anything else. Tonali can play in that position. He would be decent in that position. But I have known all season that Tonali is not very happy at Newcastle. I've had various people telling me that Tonali is not happy at Newcastle. And I had a lot of people at that moment in time telling me, oh, you don't know what you're talking about and blah, blah, blah. Tonali, he's happy at Newcastle. What's your sources and blah, blah, blah. And here you go, guys. We're here right now talking about Tonali and his future at Newcastle United, isn't it? Now, will Man United do a move like that? I have to say probably not. But, being linked to that player is nice. But will Man United pay the money that is on the table for him, guys? Because it is going to cost a lot of money, of course. These players are the type of players Man United need, though. If Man United want to progress, if Man United want to have an immediate impact in the league, especially next season, Man United need to bring in these type of players. And not only these type of players, players that are up and coming as well. So you've got the established players and you've got the up and coming players as well. I think this is what Man United need to do to sort of solidify a title charge, maybe. I don't know. But if we are going to challenge for the title in the near future, Man United do need to bring in players that are ready for a title challenge, of course, guys. Absolutely. Now, when I mentioned Tonali, I did hear from a very good source that, Tonali wouldn't mind a move to Manchester United. Lo and behold, he was offered to Manchester United from his agent, but Man United did not take up that offer. It is too much money for them, but they may take up that offer in the summer. Now, I find it bewildering. There are still a few people out there who are trying to sympathize with Ineos. They're trying to still make excuses for them, saying that they're doing well. I mean, the fact that they're saying that they're doing well makes me just completely ignore them, because at the end of the day, how can they be doing well when we made a protest about them before the game against Fulham? How on earth can they be doing well? I really don't understand that logic. I really don't. But Tonali, good player. Good to be linked with a player like that as well. Obviously, Italian international. Surprised he went to Newcastle, to be honest with you. But, especially in the Northeast, you don't really see that. I mean, Italians who played for Newcastle, Pistoni. Who else has played for Newcastle is Italian? I don't really know many who have played for Newcastle United who are Italian, of course. But, yeah, it was a surprising going to Newcastle United in the first place. But I would welcome him at open arms if he comes to Manchester United. Of course I would. But you know what we need? Man United need midfielders. Man United need central midfielders. In particular, Man United need a proper number 6. Now, speaking of number 6s, Kone. Roma Kone, not Setu Kone, of course, who's on loan now, away from Manchester United at Lausanne. Now, Kone, the Roma player, has also been linked again to Manchester United. Of course, I mentioned Kone a year ago on Stretford Post. It was a while ago, guys. And look, this player is under the radar a little bit. A lot of people are sleeping on Kone because obviously he's playing for Roma. He's playing in Italy. And not many people are talking about him because Roma are not really, doing well in Serie A, if you know what I mean. They're not really up there in the league, challenging for the league titles and things like that. So people are ignoring Kone and Manu Kone and are not really aware of his ability. This guy is an absolute generational player. guys. And I don't use these terms lightly, guys. I don't use these terms lightly, but he is a fabulous player tonight, Mr. Manu Kone, a very good player. And he would fit Manchester United like a glove to a hand, definitely. And yes, he would, again, cost a lot of money. Yes, again, he's a generational player who a number of clubs will be after. Of course they will be. But Man United are in for him. That's good. Will I trust Ineos? No, I will not. I do not trust in anything that Ineos are going to do from this day forth. They've given us enough reasons why not to believe them. As much as I wanted to, they've given us enough excuses now why not to believe them. And I don't believe them anymore. It's all over in regards to the trust there. The trust between the fans and Ineos is out the window. And again, this is why we were protesting against Ineos before the Fulham game, of course, guys. And we have to look at that, you know, and people need to understand that 6,000 people protested at the weekend against them. And there are still a small minority of weirdos who are supporting them, who are so far up their backside. I don't even know which part starts and which part ends, to be honest with you guys. And yeah, look, you know, I can't blame them. Obviously, they've been proven wrong. So obviously, egotistical things come into play. Narcissism comes into play. And yeah, I've been firm with this from the beginning before Ineos even took charge of this football club, that they were not the right people for this job. They do not have the best interest at heart for Manchester United. Season ticket holder at Chelsea. No interest in football whatsoever, to be honest with you. No idea of what football is, to be honest with you. I don't think they have a clue what it takes to be successful at a football team like Manchester United, to be honest with you, if I'm being real, guys, because, you know, these guys are coming on the vanity project, and we all know why they're here. They're here for the regeneration project. That's why they're here. They're not here for anything else, of course, guys. We all know the shebang, isn't it, guys? Absolutely. I hope everyone's doing well on the stream, guys. Hope everyone is good. Thank you, everyone, for joining me today. Hope everyone is good. Good to see you. Good afternoon, Marky Mark. How you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Sal in the community, how are you, my friend? Very good. Good to see you, my friend. I really hope we don't regret signing a midfielder. Glazes out, Ineos out. Big up yourself, Marky Mark. Thank you so much. Absolutely agree, man. I mean, look, part of me wants to ignore it and not think about it too much, but part of me thinks, you know what, we just get one injury and then it's game over for Manchester United this season. You know, it's going to come tumbling down like a bunch of bricks pretty quickly. Big up, Ephraim. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Michael, good to see you, mate. Hope you're doing well, Michael. Hope everything is blessed with you. Big up, good afternoon, Ephraim. How you doing? Danny B, how you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you, mate. Hope everything is blessed with you, of course. Michael, is Michael Carrick right man to replace Ruben Amorim as Manchester United full-time head coach? I think it's too early to say, Michael. I think that we have to take it every game as it comes. I think it'd be very, very naive to support a manager now. I think we need to wait until at least April to see how things are going. For me, it depends, Michael, my old pal. It depends, mate. I've said it from the beginning. If Michael Carrick gets European football, for example, if he gets Champions League, and we're in a good position at the moment. If he gets Champions League, right, and there's no one available, let's say for argument's sake, there's De Zerbi available, or maybe a Nagelsmann available, or something like that. Let's say for argument's sake, these managers are available. I would say just keep Carrick. If a Tuchel or a Luis Enrique was available, I would say get Luis Enrique and get Tuchel. That's what I would say, even if Carrick gets the Champions League. But that's just my opinion, because I think we've been here before, and I don't think we should be jumping too quickly. Now, Ineos has spoken. They have said that, and I spoke about it this morning, that if Carrick has a phenomenal season, they may consider him for the full-time position, but only if he has a phenomenal season. But what is a phenomenal season, in your opinion? For me, it's probably qualifying for the Champions League, isn't it? Qualify for the Champions League, for me, will equate to a phenomenal season. And I do believe that with the noises and the positivity and the vibes that will be going on, if Michael Carrick qualifies for the Champions League, I think it'd be very hard for Ineos not to give him the job. That's one thing I would say. I think they've left themselves into a little bit of a position here. They backed themselves into a corner that if they don't give him the job, and you know what, they get another manager in, and the new manager fails, then you know what, everyone's going to be turning at them and say, why didn't you just give it to Michael Carrick? Rah. Now, of course, we got 14 games left of the season to go. We have to realize that if he wins the next 14 out of 14, who's gonna turn against Michael Carrick? If he wins 14 out of 14, you have to give him the job. Even if certain managers are available, look, I would think about it. I would still do the interview process. I would still do things like that. And I'll make sure that, you know what, we cleared every single avenue. We've interviewed everyone before we offer someone a job, because this right here is a very, very important moment in Manchester United's history. This one, right? And we've sacked Ruben Amorim. We sacked, obviously, Eric Ten Hag as well. And, you know, we've wasted a lot of money. We can't keep doing this. We can't keep doing this. We now need to get it right. Third time lucky, whatever it is. We now need to get it right. And we now need to hope that the new manager that comes into the football club succeeds, you know? Good morning, Marcus, brother. How you doing, my friend? I hope you're doing well. Good to see you, mate. Hope everything is blessed with you. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. Of course, don't forget to smash a like on the video, guys. If you guys could do that for me, that'd be absolutely fantastic. Thank you, everyone who's joined me this afternoon, of course, guys. Thank you so very much, of course, guys. So, yeah, look, you know, there is a lot of spin going on. And the spin doctors, you know what I mean? You remember the spin doctors? Who remembers the spin doctors? I do. Get yourself connected. Well, definitely, Ineos need to get themselves connected, maybe to a phone line, to sort out these transfers for the summer, guys. Because at the end of the day, they have given us a 0 out of 10 January transfer window. They gave us a 4 out of 10 summer transfer window. So they need to do a lot more. You know, they're not doing enough. They're not doing enough. How anyone could come in and say that Ineos have done well so far, it beggars belief. It beggars belief. They do not have this football club at the forefront of their minds. And I'm talking about the people who are backing them. They don't, obviously Ineos don't, but the people who are backing them, I can't believe there's still people out there doing it. I actually believe, guys, and I have to be honest, guys, I've clocked a pattern here. There's a pattern going on here. I actually think there's actually Ineos bots. You know, I think there's bots. Because I look at them when they comment on my statuses and things like that, on my tweets and things like that. I look at them and they're always like these anonymous accounts with about 27 followers and things like that. Very, very sus, in my opinion. Very, very sus. And I wouldn't be surprised if they did something like that to create an algorithm of you know what, support for them. So it does give an illusion that, you know what, they are being supported. They're not. Trust me. Marcus, I heard through the great... Heard it through the group. Like every time I hear that, I hear the song that Ineos is talking about having no money. Yes, this is the old chestnut again, isn't it, Marcus? Now, what happens is that we get to the January transfer window. They start using excuses, say, you know, there's no value in the market. They start talking about the summer window, how they're going to explore the summer window and absolutely smash the summer window when it comes along. Then once the January transfer window is over, they start talking about, you know what, we got no money. Oh, you know what? FFP, you know what? We might not be able to sign any players if we don't qualify for Europe. You know what? If we don't sell one of our players, you know what? We might have to have only one midfield transfer, one midfield signing. Rah. We've heard it all before. This is what they do. They're absolute frauds. They're absolute manipulated frauds, guys. That's what they are at the end of the day. Sal, would you keep Maguire on a reduced wage? Can I be honest with you, Ephraim? No, because we play in a back four now. And I don't think keeping Maguire is worth it now. And that's just my opinion, because I think that if it was a back three, I would actually keep Maguire. I would. But now, because we play a back four with two in the back, I don't think Maguire is good enough for that the four at the back. He's too slow, in my opinion. So I would honestly move on from Harry Maguire. I like Harry Maguire. I think he's a great professional. One thing I can take from Harry Maguire is his professionalism. That's one thing I can take from him. And players like Sancho and Rashford could look at Harry Maguire in regards to his professionalism and his attitude and learn a few things from him, because he is a very, very good professional and never gives anyone any problems. Let's not forget that he lost his captaincy at Manchester United, you know, and he didn't moan about it. He didn't resort to social media, writing in directs and things like that. He didn't go out liking people's tweets and things like that. He actually done the business, do you know what I mean, at the end of the day. And, you know, I would say that I wouldn't keep him even at a very, very reduced wage. But look, we might be forced. Our hand might be forced because we might not be getting any reinforcements in that centre-back position. And if it is cheap, we might as well keep him. You know, I would say that as a backup, as an experienced option. But I would like to think that Man United are looking at, you know, reinforcements all over the pitch, including the defence. We got Lenny Oro, we got Aiden Heaven, we got Delit, we got Mazrui, we got Licha Martinez. We're pretty stacked in that position. And let's not forget that Luke Shaw can play the left side, the centre back as well. And also we got the Dalox and stuff like that as well. So, yeah, look, what I would say is that even now, I would say that the defence is not a priority. But if he desperately wants to stay, look, I'm not going to say get lost, Harry Maguire, blah, de, blah. A lot of these players are experienced, and I do want to speak about this because at the end of the day, it does depend on what type of experience these players have, isn't it? Do they have a successful experience or do they have experience of losing? This is very important, guys. You could be an experienced player, you can be, but you've never witnessed winning. You don't have the taste of victory in your mouth, if you know what I mean. And this is very important as well. There's a difference between being experienced at winning Champions Leagues and FA Cups and Premier Leagues, and there's a difference between losing finals and winning the odd trophy here and there and never winning the Premier League. Of course, there is a big difference between that and that, of course. So you have to keep that in mind. Absolutely. Big up, Mandem. How you doing, my friend? I hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Hello. How are you? I'm very well. Good to see you. The notifications haven't been working lately. Don't know what's up with YouTube. I don't know, United Mandem. I don't know what. Have you put your notifications on? Because I haven't looked at it and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, why ain't people coming on my stream and say, what's going on? Yeah, try and. I know that they got a problem with the commenting as well, that it says that some people haven't subscribed and that, but you have to wait a little bit, just let it load and then it goes on and then you've subscribed and then you can start commenting. It's weird. YouTube are doing YouTube things as usual. Glinios bootlickers on the internet won't ever accept they were wrong. They won't, mate. They won't ever accept they're wrong. They won't. And I see them every single day. I actually think, Kenny, that they are bots. They're not real people. I think they're bots. I don't think they're actually real. I think they're absolutely, I think they're fake. I really do. I think they're fake people. That's what I think. And yeah, and you can tell the common narrative there, the common similarities between all of them in regards to their picture, their profile picture, and their followers and stuff like that. Yeah, very sus. Maguire needs sold. Got to start Dross clear out. Big up, Kenny. Bobby, hello, Sal. Hope you're well. Good to see you, Bobby. Hope you're doing well. Really good to see you. Hope everything is blessed with you, my friend. Good to see you again. Absolutely. Mandem, there's reports saying that Glinios don't have money for the summer window and that we'll have to sell to buy. The nonsense has already started even before the season end. Deja vu. Deja vu, guys. Bill Murray. It's Groundhog Day again. Absolutely. They are like clockwork. As soon as the January transfer window eases and finishes, they've already got the excuses out to lower expectations for the summer. And unfortunately, the minions will start falling for that nonsense, and luckily there are people out there like us, me and you, who won't fall for that nonsense because it is nonsense. Where is the 62 million for Semenyo? I beg of you, where is it? Because I would like to know where it is. Have they blown it on something else? I don't know. Absolutely. But it is, we are cursed to have this ownership. We are cursed. And just when we thought we had a lifeline, Ineos came and resuscitated the Glazers and gave him a life support machine. That's what they've done. And I can't see how anyone could forgive them for what they did and go into bed with the Glazers. I don't see how that could possibly happen. How they can actually accept this, what they're doing at this football club. I don't think they can, how anyone could accept that. It's absolutely pathetic. And most of us, thankfully, can read between the lines and know what they're doing. It's a game at the end of the day. Big up, Stephen Maguire. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Really good to see you. And the comedy part of it is the fact that they are actually really every single fact that I bring forth, they try to debunk the fact. It's a fact, and they want to debunk the facts. And you just need to tell them how much money they have wasted. That's all you have to do. You just tell them how much money they wasted, and then you'll know. You know what I mean? And they still try to debunk it. They still try their best to say no, but we're better off than we're blah blah blah, guys. And I've seen it. I've seen people, bigging up Ineos, even big content creators, talking about how living up their backside and things like that. At the end of the day, absolute clowns. You know who they are. These guys, them people there at the end of the day. Yeah, look, absolute clowns, people, honestly. These people who are supporting them at the moment. And it does make me laugh. It really does. Because, guys, look, this is about the football club. This is not about me or you. This is not about my opinion. This is about football club, guys. This is what it's all about. And that's all I care about at the end of the day. Not what my ego thinks or what my opinion thinks. It's what's best for the football club. Look, when Ineos walked into the football club, it is what it is. We had what we had, and I hoped that it would be good. And I hope that they would invest in the football team. And you know what? Make a change. Show us something. Show us that you are a Man United fan, Jim Ratcliffe. Show us. Because at the moment, there's no evidence that you are. There's no evidence that you are a Man United fan. Absolutely not. And I would say that anyone who thinks that they are a Man United fan, you're absolutely naive if you think like that. Because what makes you think that? Please explain to me. What makes you think that that Jim Ratcliffe in particular is a United fan? I just want to know it. I want to know the reason behind what your logic, the reason behind the madness. What are you thinking? What makes you think that they are, at the end of the day? What makes you think that they are, genuine in what they're saying? Why? Has anything given you confidence? What has given you confidence? I want to know what has given these people confidence. That's what I want to know. Absolutely. Mandem. My notification is on, but rarely works. There's a bug on YouTube that should be fixed with the developers. That's why you also see this issue with delayed commenting. Oh, yeah, I had that at the weekend, didn't I? Yeah, thank you, Mandem. You reminded me about that, actually. Thank you so much. Yeah, look, we had delayed comments, and I couldn't get all your comments. And it was right at that time when there was a vibe. Man United had just won the game, and I wanted to get all your comments, and I wanted to get excited and happy. And then it all disappeared. It's like Jim Ratcliffe is on the back of it or something like that and stopping us from reading comments and things like that. Do you know what I mean? Metal, big up, man. Metal, big up, Sal. Madrid seem to be in an even worse situation than us, especially with Vino's ego and tantrums. I never tolerate that. They're not in a worse position than us, mate. Absolutely not. Real Madrid are not in a worse position than us because they can easily sell Vino for about 100 million. They'd be fine. They have not got an ownership that are leaking, that are draining this club dry, Metal, all due respect. The Real Madrid are a very well-run machine, and they still win trophies, and they will win trophies this season. Vinny can leave and they'll be fine. They've got a lot of egos there, but they've had that before. They had that with Zidane and Figo and Beckham and things like that. They've had that before. But to be in a position that we are in is completely different, night and day. They've got a magnificent new stadium built on the same spot that the Bernabeu is, so they didn't move. They've got a great ownership that will back them every single summer. And they're very successful. And over the last 15, 20 years, they've won loads and loads of major trophies. So, they're not in a worse position than us. They're far, far, far from it. It's night and day. It's night and day, guys. Metal. V, big up, V. How you doing? I don't understand the hype around Tuchel. After Lampard's shit show, Tuchel got lucky in 2012 with the Champions League and Super Cup and Club Cup was part of 2020. What did he achieve after? Nothing in the EPL. Now, what I would say about that, V, I think he's a very good tactician. Now, if he goes out and he wins England the World Cup, would you change your mind? Would you? Now, he's not my first choice. He's not my first choice. My first choice, of course, is, Luis Enrique. That's my first choice. That's the guy I want at Man United. I think he's the right guy for Man United. And I think everyone would agree if it's between Carrick and Tuchel and Luis Enrique, I think most people are going to pick Luis Enrique. I just think that, that's no offense to the rest of them, but I think most people are going to pick Luis Enrique, isn't it, guys? Absolutely. Mandem, let's say Carrick gets top 4 and is given the job. What assurances are there that Ineos will back him? Exactly. In a year's time, people will be saying Carrick out too. Exactly that, Mandem. Exactly that. What makes these people believe that Michael Carrick is going to be backed? Let's just remember, guys, that Ruben Amorim was their guy. Ruben Amorim was their guy. That was their guy. Ruben Amorim was their guy. And they didn't back him to the level that they should have backed him, isn't it? He was their first guy as well. And they didn't back him, I can't understand, how people could think that they're all of a sudden going to spend 500 million on Michael Carrick. In fact, it'd be probably the opposite because Michael Carrick will probably say, I want less. It won't want as much as a Luis Enrique, for example. So they will love it. Big up Ephraim, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Many credit to Amorim to give Carrick the platform to build on. And people don't want to talk about that, of course. They're very bitter and jealous people in regards to Ruben Amorim, of course. There is news about Mason Mount. Mason Mount could be sold in the summer, guys. Mason Mount could be sold in the summer. Apparently, Man United have become a little bit frustrated with his injury record and are looking to clear the books in regards to wages. Another player that looks to be out the door is our good friend, Andre Onana. Now, Andre Onana has said that he wouldn't mind fighting for his place, but Man United have put an end to that theory and are prepared to sell Onana at a discount price. Onana wanted to prove himself under Michael Carrick and co, whoever is in charge at the football club when he gets back, but Manchester United have put an end to that and want to clear the wage bill. Many players won't be staying at Man United because Ineos want to clear a lot of the money that they are paying per week on players. And guys, they've already saved a lot. They're going to save 300,000 from Casemiro. They're saving money from Anthony and Rasmus and Rashford and Sancho. You name it, they're saving. And guys, it seems like an never-ending story of negativity and basically cost cutting. That's what it is. You know what I mean? And I don't know where we go for that. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, I don't know where we go. When do they stop their cost cutting? When are we going to have some positivity to talk about? Because everything they've done so far in this last 2 years has been negative. There's been the odd nice thing. We bought Bremo with our money, by the way. We bought Cunha with our money, by the way. We bought, Sesko with our money, by the way. You know? They did not put their hand in their pocket once, guys. They did not put their hand in their pocket once. You know, this is what we're talking about at the end of the day. Absolute frauds, a lot of them. And guys, the worst thing about it is the people that actually support them. They're even worse. They are even worse, guys. I don't even want to hear about these people supporting them because at the end of the day, they're an embarrassment to this football club. An embarrassment. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. I'm glad that some people are waking up to it. There's the usual suspects who are not and will not apologize and will not say they're wrong. Of course they won't. And myself, if they proved me right, I didn't want Ineos in the first place. If they proved me wrong, I would have been the first person to say, well done, they proved me wrong, but they haven't. I would love them to because it would mean success for Manchester United at the end of the day. That's all I want. I only want success for this football club. I don't care about my opinion. This football club's far bigger than my opinion. You know, and I've said it already, you know, I just want success for this football club. I want to be challenging for titles and Champions Leagues and things like that. But we're not going to do this under this ownership. Life's short, guys. Very. Why are we going to wait 10, 15 years when we can get it now? You know what I mean? At the end of the day, these people are just, honestly, throwing things away. Kenny, big up Amorim. He hope he exposes that fraudulent hierarchy in the summer. Absolutely, I hope so. Ryan, big up Ryan. Hope you're doing well. That's Rant's guy now saying Carrick should get the job after 3 games and he never criticised the owners and always manages fault. Because he's got a low IQ, mate. He's got a low IQ. It's called the Man Dem Minions. That's why I call them the Man Dem Minions, because they got low IQ, the bunch of them. They go on each other's channels. They interview each other. They hang around each other. They're on all each other's streams every single time. Agree, but they're just nodding their head with each other like this. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, big up my bro. You know, it's just the same thing. Repetitive cycle over and over again at the end of the day. What does Rance know about this football club? Does he know about the Munich disaster? I don't think he does know anything about it. He doesn't know nothing about this football club. All due respect to him, he can come on here and try and school me if he likes. He's not going to win. You know, at the end of the day, he thinks he knows about this football club. He doesn't mention anything about Ineos, anything about the Glazers. For goodness sake, you would have thought he's on the Glazers payroll the way he goes on, because he doesn't talk about them. He never talked about when Sir Bobby Charlton passed away. He never talks about when Dennis Law passed away. He never mentions it. All of these guys, name one of them that mentioned about Dennis Law when he passed away. Name one of them who mentioned Sir Bobby Charlton when he passed away. None of them. I urge you to find it for me because I did not see it. So how can they call themselves Manchester United fans? They're vibe fans. They're vibes. They're social media fans. That's all they are. They're only interested in their platforms and hold that and wear sunglasses from Poundland. That's what it is. That's all they are. They don't care about this football club. None of them do. You know, at the end of the day. And I would urge them to pretend, you know, the first time I see them, man, celebrating, because the only reason they're celebrating against Carrick against Fulham is because they're going to say, see, they just want to do, I told you, hold that. See, that's all they want to do. They're not interested in the win. They're just interested in their own personal ego. That's what it is. And we have to look at that. So I have nothing against the guys. I have nothing against them personally, but come on, let's be real here. Let's separate the wood from the trees here, guys. Let's talk about what's real here. You don't love the club. You can kiss the badge all you like. You don't love the club. You don't. I'll be honest with you. And I'm saying that as a seasoned fan, 40 years, been to the Champions League final, been to games. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. And these people, they have no characteristics of a proper United fan, in my opinion. Metal, Sal, I can't believe Rance is back in the ownership. They've somehow turned it into the Amram fanboys versus the board. Even if you hate Amram, you can anyone support Ineos. They call it the Ruben Amram. Look, at the end of the day, like they are Ineos. Ineos support the Glazers. The Glazers support Ineos. So what are they? What are they then? You know, they're bootlickers, isn't it? They're bootlickers. You might as well get the boot out. You know, at the end of the day. I've heard people say on streams, right, they would rather be a bootlicker than have Qatar. That shows you how stupid they are, how thick they are. You know, at the end of the day, absolutely thick. Thick as anything. Honestly, been hit on their head. Honestly, it must have been hit on their head when they fell from that council estate block. I don't know what it is at the end of the day, guys. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Or fell out the Datsun Sunny or Datsun Cherry, whatever it was. You know what I mean? You know, these guys are just idiotic, man, idiotic. And it just shows you because they're making it about Amram. And, you know, I'll be here if Carrick fouls, by the way. I hope that Carrick succeeds. I really do. But if he fouls, they better hold it. You know, because then that'll prove, again, that it's not the manager, is it? You know, at the end of the day. But let's see what happens. Absolutely idiots. I really do hope, guys, they dislike Amram so much that they're turning their back on Man United and siding with the board. Have you ever seen one of the Man Dem Minions protest? You know, the only one I see protesting is Nuruddin. That's it. You know, I see Said sometimes, but religiously, the only one is Nuruddin. The rest of them are absolute frauds, and they don't care about this football club. They don't. They just care about their opinion and saying things like you said there, Metal. You know, that's what they care about. That's all they're interested in is what you just said. Hold that, this and that, all that business. You know, it's ridiculous, guys. They're not interested in uniting for a common cause. Let's see how much Michael Carrick, if he gets the job, how much he's being backed by Glazers. Let's see what happens then. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, let's see what happens. Ineos are a cancer to this football club, an extension of it. From the Glazers to Ineos, they're an extension. Go Gadget Arms, that's what they are. At the end of the day, they're an extension of what the bad thing that we already had, you know. And I would actually say that some of these fans, I call them Ineos fanboys now, lover boys, Ineos fan lover boys, those people. I call them, you know what I mean, just as bad as the Glazers and Ineos. They're just as bad. They're an extension of it. They're an extension of the Glazers and they're an extension of the Ineos. That's what they are. You think that 6,000 Manchester United fans protested again on the first of Fulham? You think we've been protesting for 20 years? You know, at the end of the day, what do you think we're doing? We're wasting our time doing this and that. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, absolute stupidness. You know, and they sink to the low because it fits an agenda. It fits a narrative. That's why they sink to the low. You know, at the end of the day, you know. Stupid. Absolute stupid. At the end of the day, guys. And, you know, not backing Carrick this window, for example, when we could be one injury away from total collapse is absolutely beyond belief, guys. I can't believe it. You know, I can't believe it. I thought they would have at least got a loan deal in there or something like that. I thought they would at least done something like that. You know, fortunately, sadly, they're not, guys. They're not doing anything. And sadly, we are stuck with them. We are stuck with these losers and these fans, by the way, so-called fans and stuff like that, you know? Now, I would have liked to think that when we start winning, we will unite for a common cause and we all get together and we'll not sing Kumbaya, But you know what I would say is that we all get together and have a common goal and a common narrative, a common similarity between each other, which is wanting Man United to succeed. But they're not interested in that. They're interested in me right, you wrong. That's what they are at the end of the day. And they've been proven wrong time and time again for the last 15 years because they've been blaming the manager again and again and again. They blamed Eric Ten Hag. Eric Ten Hag was proven wrong. And Ruben Amorim will be proven right as well. At the end of the day, it will be. When down the line, you will see. It'll be proven right. And they won't admit it. They will never admit it. You know, at the end of the day, a very low ball knowledge. It's a very low, it's like a very dumbed down version. My first football tactic book. Basically, that's basically what the level is. Spot the dog of football books. Basically, that's what they are. And if you know Spot the Dog, you know what Spot the Dog is. You know, and it's very. You really have to dumb down to listen to them. That's why I don't, because I don't want to dumb down. To be honest with you, at the end of the day, but God help them. You know, at the end of the day, supporting the enemy is fine. They like to support the enemy. They got no loyalty. Obviously, you probably learned that from their dads. So at the end of the day, I don't know, guys. You know what I mean, at the end of the day, so. Yeah, look, we carry on, guys. We got a game again on Saturday against Tottenham. Massive game, of course. And we have to do Tottenham because Tottenham have beaten us quite a lot of times over this last year, guys. When you look at the results, the last 10 results, it doesn't make pretty reading, guys. It really doesn't make pretty reading. It actually looks pretty bleak. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. And we need to put one over on Tottenham. Didn't we lose, was it four games in a row last season to Tottenham? We really do need to change the narrative here. We do need to change that. And we do need to beat Tottenham. Tottenham is going to be a tough game. Of course it is. They're going to be up for that game. You know, Spurs, like they did with Man City. Spurs raise their game for certain teams. Man United's one of them. Man City's another one. And then when it comes to Arsenal, they crumble. You know, they crumble like you know, idiots, you know, weaklings and stuff like that. So hopefully, Man United will change that narrative and Man United will win that game. And that's what we are. We're supporting the football team, as we have done from the beginning, supporting the football team that we love at the end of the day. That's what we do, guys. We don't want our team to lose just to prove a point at the end of the day. Carrick's army, and we hope Carrick wins on Saturday. I was there to witness Carrick. I saw his whole career from his West Ham days all the way to his Man United captain days, you know. And I'll always have a soft spot for Michael Carrick. Of course I will. He's a Man United legend. And I'm glad if he does well. It's all good for us at the end of the day, you know. But I guarantee you what's going to happen, guys. One of the main things that's going to happen is this. They will use, if Carrick qualifies for the Champions League, they will use Carrick's qualification for the Champions League as leverage for their, we don't need to spend money because we got to the Champions League. It's going to be a bit like that. We don't need to spend money because we're already in the Champions League. So we must be good enough. That is the logic that this board have. This is what I'm talking about here. That's the kind of logic we're talking about. Lack of logic, shall I say, that they're going to use on the masses, on the Man United fans. You know, we you know what? We qualify for the Champions League. So, yeah, we must be good enough. We must be good enough, you know what I mean? And things like that, nonsense like that, of course, which, yeah, don't just, all I say, guys, is don't fall for it. I know you guys won't. You guys are awake to this stuff. And I'm glad, of course, guys, that you are, of course. Let me see some of my comments. I don't know if my comments are coming through. Let me just see, guys. I'm just going to check because some of my comments are coming through. YouTube is tripping lately, honestly. It really is tripping. YouTube really is tripping, guys. Let me just have a look. Let's have a look. Let's see if I can read any of your comments from the actual YouTube site because they're not coming through on my platform. So I'm just going to have a look on the YouTube site if my comments are actually coming through. If you guys are actually commenting, of course, guys. I'm not counting my chickens before they've hatched. I don't think it is actually. No. Yeah, you guys, you frauds. What's going on? Absolutely. Let me just see how many. So you guys are smashing likes. Thank you so much. Just Charles testing the waters. Thank you so much, everyone who's come in here and is testing the waters, who's having a look at the channel. I hope you like what you see and what you hear. Big up yourselves. Hope you're all blessed. Thank you so much. Guys, we are just 2 injuries away from crashing and burning. What utter incompetence. Ineos seem to be worse than the Glazers. Well, they are, because whether the Glazers spent money well or not, whether they spent it well or not, the one thing is that they spent money. That's one thing you can't take away from them. Even though they spent it badly, of course they spent it badly, they spent money ultimately. And that, that's better than spending nothing at the end of the day, guys. And they spent, it is crazy. It is crazy. They are a bad, just when we thought we got it bad, we got it worse, didn't we? We got it even worse. It's ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what Man United fans have done in their past lives or something like that. But what I would say is that, we don't deserve this. We don't deserve this ownership. We don't deserve this board. And none of that, of course not. Absolutely not. I would urge everyone, guys, who supports the channel, supports what I'm saying, to keep the movement going. Whether that's tweets, whether that's, hashtags and stuff like that, these make a difference, Ineos and the Glazers, they do look at social media. Believe that. They look at the connections with it and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day. And they look at the narratives and they look at the popular narrative and they see, oh, mate, this isn't good. Do you know what I mean? They do things like that. And we have to keep very, very aware with this. You know what I mean? And keep pushing, because at the end of the day, if we keep pushing, it's good for the football club at the end of the day, guys. Look, I got a feeling that Michael Carrick will get the job. I got a feeling he will get into the top 4. I got a feeling we're going to go on a magnificent run like we did with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and that's fabulous for Man United, and I'm delighted about that, of course. And I got a feeling that he's going to get the job after that. Ineos will be left in the situation where they have no choice but to give him the job. Now, they did say this week, the last 24 hours anyway, that they're not necessarily going to give him a job. It would take something monumental, something phenomenal for them to give Michael Carrick the job. Now, for me, Michael Carrick getting the job is Champions League qualifications. For me, that's something phenomenal. That would be something amazing. That would be something huge, in my humblest of opinions, because where we came from, the adversity that we suffered this season, of course. Good afternoon, Sniper Man. How you doing, my friend? How you doing? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Really good to see you again, Sniper. Sal, good afternoon. Did you hear about the Ronaldo situation? I did, Sniper Man. I know you like the Ronaldo, don't you? But look, the only reason I would take Ronaldo back at Manchester United is a coaching role. That's all I would do. Maybe a player coach. I wouldn't take Ronaldo back as a player. He's 40 years old. The Premier League is tough, and I wouldn't do that if I'm being totally honest with you, Sniper Man. I would love Ronaldo to one day become a manager. I think he's got the credentials to become a manager. He's got the discipline to become a manager. I think he'd be a fabulous manager of whoever he manages. But I do believe that, Sniper Man, that the next stop for Cristiano Ronaldo is acting. I heard he's in the new Fast and Furious. I'm seeing pictures of that and stuff like that. So I heard he's in the new Fast and Furious. So good luck to him with that. Big up, Sniper Man. It's good to see you again, my friend. I hope your work and your college is going well. Hope you got good results and good grades, my friend. Good to see you. V, we destroyed the childhoods of kids through the 90s and the early 2000s, supporting other clubs, didn't we? Yep, I guess it's karma hitting us, I guess, for now. The funniest thing is about it, V, that I was never arrogant. I was always humble with it. When I was at school witnessing all those trophies, I never gloated. I never rubbed it in people's faces. I was quite humble. I was actually too humble, to be honest with you. And now when I think about it now, I'm actually like, maybe I shouldn't have been so humble back then. Maybe I should have been a bit smug, but I wasn't. Because looking at the way things are now, I know the generations have changed since then. People are different now than they were then. People were much better then. Do you know what I mean? People were much more human beings back then. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day. So, yeah, look, you know what? Maybe it's karma hitting us, but I don't think we deserve it, because I think that Man United put the Premier League on the map. I think Man United deserve a lot better, because we did put the Premier League on the map. Look, guys, English football was in the mud in the early 90s, in the late 80s, when we were banned from Europe thanks to a certain team from Anfield. We were banned from Europe. And obviously, the football in England was known as a hooliganism sport. And Margaret Thatcher wanted to ban football. I remember at the time. And Man United came along in 1992-93 and changed the whole narrative and started playing beautiful football, Sir Matt Busby football. Just like the Busby Babes, when the class of 92 came through with the Ryan Giggs and the Paul Scholes and the Gary Nevilles and the David Beckhams and stuff like that came through, and we started to play beautiful football. That's what we did. And we put English football back on the map. And especially when Cantona came to the football club, it was like the icing on the cake. It was beautiful. And, we started elevating the Premier League again. We started performing well in Europe when we were allowed back into Europe. And then, then Arsenal came along. And then obviously one thing led to the other. And then, the Premier League elevated to a level that, thanks to Manchester United, no thanks to Man City or Chelsea or even Liverpool at the time, it was Manchester United who elevated the whole of English football. And this is what we're talking about. This is why Man United don't deserve, what's going on. They don't deserve this ownership. Man United should be protected from this type of thing, Sniper Man, I'm still not at college, Sal. I'm my final months at school. I hope you're doing well with your GCSEs, my friend. Take it easy, my guy. So also, Sal, it's the first time since Man United I'm seeing Ronaldo act like this. I find it weird. Yeah, I do find it weird. Maybe that's a call that he wants to leave. Maybe he just wants to leave the football club now. Maybe that's it for him. Maybe he's had enough. Maybe that's what it is, Sniper Man. Maybe he's just had enough now. He just wants to move back to Europe, maybe. Trying to force a move out the door. It could be. I think Ronaldo needs to think about retiring now. I know that he said he'll know when he needs to retire. I know he's 40 years old. He's still playing at a relatively high level. He's going to be at the World Cup, obviously, with Portugal. Fair play to him. My goodness me, he looks after himself very well. But what I would say is this, right? He really does need to take it easy a little bit. You know what I mean? He's a hothead, isn't he? This must be serious with Ronaldo himself is missing games in training. I don't know what happened, to be fair, Sniper Man. I've been keeping a close eye on Manchester United. There's obviously some kind of fallout there, isn't there? There's obviously some kind of politics going on over there and stuff like that. You know what I mean? There's obviously some politics going on with Cristiano Ronaldo at the moment. Cristiano Ronaldo is the greatest player ever to play in the Premier League. And, he's one of the greatest players, top 2 players to ever play the game. I think he's the number 1. I think he's the GOAT, in my opinion, considering that he's done it in every league, in my opinion. And he has a right to throw his rattles out of his pram sometimes, doesn't he? He has a right to be a little bit upset sometimes, doesn't he? He has a right for that, at the end of the day. And coming back to Man United, I don't think Man United will do that anyway. I really don't. The reason I don't think they'll do that is because of Jason Wilcox and co. Because obviously Jason Wilcox and co. have got this egotistical narcissism going on. Mandem, we will fist up Spurs. I hate how they've lately been saying that Manchester is white because they beat both Manchester clubs. I remember a time, United Mandem, I was standing outside Old Trafford. It was about 1998, right? And I was just outside Old Trafford and a car went past. We weren't playing Tottenham. We were playing Aston Villa. And a car went past, right? And it had an open top, right? And they had a Tottenham flag. And they shouted, "Come on, you Spurs." And we all looked at each other in pity, in sorrow for them. Because I thought, oh, look at them, bless them. It was like that. It was that kind of vibe. It was like, oh, bless them, look at them. Oh, Tottenham, Tottenham an embarrassment, guys. They're an embarrassment, We have to beat them. I don't want Ronaldo to come back again too. Big up, Sniper Man. It's good to see you, Sniper Man. Hope you're well. Welcome back to Stretford Post, my friend. Cristiano Ronaldo, the best in history in the world. He is. Yes, he is the best for me. For what he done with his talents, for how he evolved as a player, for the fact that he played in England and he played in Spain and he played in Italy and he played in England again and he played in Saudi Arabia and he played in Portugal. He played in all these countries, and every single country that he played in, he's successful. So yeah, he's the GOAT. Cristiano Ronaldo is the greatest of all time, every single moment. Yes. Shame there's no Man United player in the Premier League Hall of Fame because they're haters. That's exactly it. When Ryan Giggs doesn't get called up for the Hall of Fame, I lose all respect for the Hall of Fame. The most decorated Premier League player of all time. Man United players who dominated football for 20 years, by the way, plus, all of them should be in the Hall of Fame before anybody else is in the Hall of Fame. It should be all of them in the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? Marcus, this is why ownership should never own more than one club. At some point, a conflict of interest arises in regards to Ronaldo's situation. Exactly that, It's a bit like what's going on at the moment with Sekou Kone. Sekou Kone going to Lausanne in Switzerland because it's Jim Ratcliffe's team. It doesn't benefit Man United whatsoever. We might have used Sekou Kone, We've got a very weak midfield at the moment in regards to it's threadbare, Marcus, the FFP got more money than the one who could even imagine. Those guys do whatever they want. Absolutely, mate. FFP for me is a convenient excuse for for the billionaires. That's all it is for me. It's just a convenient excuse. And that's what I would say. But Giggs' allegations, that's why they removed. Yeah, but that has nothing to do with football. Look at John Terry, who's in the Hall of Fame. Look what he did. You know, he has racism on his head. John Terry. And he got Hall of Fame. So let's not talk about what happened behind the scenes and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Because it's a contradiction. It's just because he's a Man United player. That's all it is. And they just need to own it. I mean, Gary Neville being the first Man United player in the Hall of Fame. Are you joking? Gary Neville was carried by David Beckham for years and years and years. Once bitten, twice shy. We don't need a 40-year-old CR7 back to delay our growth. If it wasn't for that clown Woodward in his commercial sign said the last time Haaland would have been with us. Maybe. But you know the story of Haaland, V, don't you? He wasn't impressed with Man United. He went around, he walked around the Carrington and that, and he wasn't impressed. Ronaldo scored 27 goals. We should have got all of them, you know? And that's what happened. Bellingham as well, yeah. He walked around Carrington and wasn't impressed. A bit like when Jurgen Klopp, when Alex Ferguson left, we interviewed Jurgen Klopp, and Jurgen Klopp wasn't impressed with the way we were speaking. We were speaking like, we're going to sign this player, we're going to sign that player, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And ultimately, Jurgen Klopp was more interested in the actual football rather than that. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, and yeah, we're not run properly. I thought Rio, he might be now, but I'm talking about, Gary Neville was the first Man United player, wasn't he? Let me see who's in the Hall of Fame. So let's have a look. Okay, so the Premier League Hall of Fame list. All right. Inductees. Here we go. All right. Premier League Hall of Fame inductees. Eden Hazard, for whatever reason. I mean, he was only in the Premier League 5 minutes. Gary Neville. Right. Ashley Cole. Fair enough. Good left back. Andy Cole. Fair enough. John Terry. And we know what John Terry did behind the back. Alex Ferguson, of course. Arsene Wenger. Yeah. Rio Ferdinand. Yeah, he's in it. Peter Cech, Adams, Vieira. I'm waiting for Keane and Schmeichel. Rooney, Wright. There's Schmeichel. Schmeichel's in it. Scholes, Drogba, Company, Aguero, Thierry Henry, Shearer, Cantona, and Keane. Good one. He's in it. Beckham. Yeah, they're all in it. Bergkamp, Lampard, Gerrard, and that's it. No Van Nistelrooy, no Cristiano Ronaldo, who's the last Premier League player to win a Ballon d'Or. There you go, guys. Cristiano Ronaldo won a Ballon d'Or and he's not in it. The last Premier League player to win a Ballon d'Or was Cristiano Ronaldo and he's not in it. How can, you know what I mean? How can anyone take that competition seriously at the end of the day? Fee, didn't John Terry have an affair with Bridges' wife, girlfriend? Yeah, and he said something to Rio Ferdinand, I think. Very sinister as well. Worse than what Giggs did. To me, Cantona was the GOAT. Cantona was a great, mate. An absolute great. Changed the course of Manchester United. Eden Hazard, but no CR7. I think Cantona was the GOAT for Man United. I think in an overall football scope, I think Ronaldo's the GOAT because of what he achieved in football outside just Man United. I think in regards to Manchester United, Cantona's the GOAT. Definitely. Because Cantona changed Manchester United. He was the final piece of the puzzle. He was the icing on the cake, wasn't he, Cantona? Changed football. Didn't stay long enough, though, in my opinion, as well. But, that's where Cantona was. Marcus, Neville wasn't the first. There's like 7 players in the EPL Hall of Fame. I'm not talking about Neville. I'm talking about Man United players. He was the first Man United player, not everyone. He's the most recent. Yeah, that's what I mean. Most recent Man United player. Sniper man. But Owen also a Ballon d'Or. Yeah, and he's not in it. So where's the Ballon d'Ors? But the last Ballon d'Or in the Premier League was Cristiano Ronaldo. So we have many world-class players in our history. We see ups and downs. What a beautiful history we have. We do. Cantona or George Best. George Best was underrated. Absolutely. One of the greatest of all times. Absolutely. And look, guys, don't forget about Sir Bobby Charlton as well. What Sir Bobby Charlton did. Cantona is the GOAT to Man U, but R9 to me in football. I agree with that. I agree. Yeah, and you have to say that because you can't call Cantona the greatest player ever in football because he didn't go around. But as Man United, for me, he's a legend and he's the GOAT for me because of what he did at Man United and his impact on the class of 92 as well, guys. Absolutely. Absolutely. His impact on that as well was very, very important, And I would say that there were so many great players when I was growing up. I was so privileged to see so many great players. R9, for example, In the Premier League, look, guys, I want to talk to you about the Premier League. Gianfranco Zola is not in there. Gianfranco Zola. Georgi Kinkladze. David Ginola. You know what I'm saying? You know where I'm going with this? Do you know what I mean? Gary Pallister. Steve Bruce. Nemanja Vidic. Where's Nemanja? Where's Stam? Where are they? They won a treble. Where are they? Brian Robson. Yeah, Brian Robson was, the best captain of all time in me. But obviously, during the 90s, when the Premier League started, he was at the end of his career, wasn't he? I was lucky to see him play. But Brian Robson, absolute legend. If Brian Robson kept fit, England would have won the World Cup. I'm telling you, if he kept fit, England would have won the World Cup, Nasser. Absolutely. Absolute captain dynamo. Absolute brilliant player. Brilliant player. So lucky to have a captain like Brian Robson. Absolutely, yes. And brilliant. But yeah, look, I'm going through players like great players who played in the Premier League that are not in the Hall of Fame. And Gary Neville is. I just find it weird, you know what I mean? And even though I like Gary Neville achieved a lot at Man United. Really? Is he better than the players that I've mentioned? Is he better than Stam? Is he better than Pallister? Is he better than Steve Bruce, who once scored 16 goals from defense? I mean, it is kind of like strange to me, Ryan Giggs not being there is just absolute travesty. Marcus, what's the nomination process for all Hall of Fame? These nitwits are missing all those names you mentioned in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, I don't know. It's a bit like a bunch of mates getting together and nominating each other, basically, I think. How Gianfranco Zola or Paolo Di Canio is not in the Hall of Fame. Sorry, I lose all respect from it. And let me shout out Mark Vivian Foe and people like that. God rest his soul. Let me shout out those players as well who deserve it. And guys, look, they have no idea about football, about Premier League, about nothing. They don't know nothing. If Gianfranco Zola was playing now, and he wouldn't, guys, if he was playing now, he'd be the best player in the Premier League. He'd be the best player in the Premier League right now if Gianfranco was playing. Yeah, honestly, I mean, Hazard, I'm sorry, guys, but Hazard was a great player for a couple of seasons and he drifted. And that's all I say, you know what I mean? Sal, in the Premier League, apart from United player, who is your favourite player? Apart from a United player? Well, I mentioned a couple there. Gianfranco Zola was one of them, yeah. He was one of my favourite players, definitely. I like Gianluca Vialli. He was brilliant. He was one of my favourite players as well. If there's a player that I would have looked at and I thought, yeah, I wouldn't mind him at Man United, yeah. He would have been good at Man United. Probably. Oh, Teddy Sheringham not in the Hall of Fame, by the way, as well. Manta goals, Teddy scored and all that, by the way. I would say, yeah, probably be like a... And guys, let me mention a name here that I would have loved to play for Man United right now. Juninho, Middlesbrough. Juninho of Middlesbrough. What a player. Man United came close to signing him, but didn't quite do the deal. Absolute phenomenal player. Honestly, he would have been brilliant. There's only a few players that I look at back in those days that would have changed Man United. Obviously, I wouldn't change anything for the world because we achieved so much. But there's only a few players that I would say that would have elevated Man United. Going back to the Mandem, they keep quiet so that they can interview and included it in the interview room. That's why it is, mate. Yeah, the VIP passes and interviews. Yeah, they're absolute an insult to their parents, mate. Tybo, big up Tybo, what's going on? Without Cantona, the trouble would never happen. I know he wasn't here, but what he has done at United before influenced the players that we won it in the end. His impact was unbelievable. It was, yes. He was the reason. He was the one who disciplined those players. He was like, ask Paul Scholes and players like that what about Cantona, and you will know like the levels, you know. There was a turning point at Man United. One was Cantona, of course, but There was a game in Barcelona, and Man United played against Ronald Koeman, Romario, Stoichkov, Luis Enrique, and all those players. And Paul Scholes, because back in those days, we could only play a quota of foreign players. So Man United had to play youth team, basically. So Paul Scholes and all those players had to play. They learned a lot from those sort of situations. Even though we got smacked up 4-0 in that game, they learned a lot from those situations, you know. And the Cantona thing, I think what the Cantona thing gave these players is when they watched Cantona was a resilience, a fight. You know what I mean? That fight. You know, like when we won the Champions League in 99 and we got that last-minute goal, that was because of Cantona. That was Cantona scoring that goal. That was Cantona, not Solskjaer. That was Cantona. That was what Cantona would do. And you look at the way that Beckham and Scholes and Giggs played, very Cantona-esque. Very Cantona-esque. So, the Spurs is unpredictable. Them in the Champions League and the Premier League. Champions League is so weak at the moment. Respect, Sal. Mark Viv Info. You are a true legend, brother. Mentioning the great Cameroon player. Thank you so much, Marcus. Like Mark Viv Info. Let me just tell you a story, Marcus, about Mark Viv Info. I used to live in Leighton. And Leighton Orient were playing West Ham in a preseason friendly. Frank Lampard was playing for West Ham at the time and stuff like that. I met Mark Viv Info, right? And I got an autograph on a piece of paper, right? And a gentleman. And it's very easy just to mention people like, oh, you know, the ones that stand out in your head, Thierry Henry and this and that, you know. But Mark Viv Info, man, like he took his life, he risked his life for this, you know. He passed out on the pitch, and you know, and what a player he was. And he was close to signing for Man United. You remember? And we were linked to Mark Viv Info all those years ago. He was close to signing for Man United. Didn't quite do it, you know. Yeah. What a player he was, though. He was, I mean, CDM. Would love a Mark Viv Info these days, isn't it? In a CDM position. Absolutely brilliant. Sniperman, also Messi in the top 10 Ballon d'Or power ranking, but not Ronaldo, even though Ronaldo is the better league. Exactly. You know why Messi does, innit? And I'm not going to get political, but there's a reason behind why he gets his always success. And you just need to check who runs the media and the PR, you know. Di Canio would have been sweet Alex Ferguson, Manu. He would have been a Cantona 2.0. I remember at the end of his career, we tried to get Di Canio, even when he was in his 30s, we tried to get him like the kind of Teddy Sheringham kind of signing, wasn't it? Yeah. Didn't get him in the end. Great player. Great player. Guys, I want to thank everyone for joining me today. You absolute legends. Thank you for joining me this evening, guys. I will be back tomorrow morning for Breaking Dawn, of course. Oh, yeah, V. Would love to see JJ Okocha at Man United and Ronaldo. If we could, since we couldn't get Ronaldo. But you know what happened? When we didn't get Ronaldinho, we bought Cristiano Ronaldo. And the rest is history, of course. But JJ, for me, my favorite African player of all time, apart from George Weah. I always give George Weah props because George Weah is the one who introduced me to African football. Okay, so it was George Weah who introduced me to it. Obviously, I have memories of Roger Miller and things like that. But when I think about African football, I think about George Weah and things like that. Guys, thank you, absolute legends. I will see you tomorrow, guys. Enjoy your evening, morning, night, wherever you are in the world. I'm Sal Warner. This is Chatterbox. And I'll see you tomorrow, guys. Enjoy it. Thank you so much. Don't forget to smash a like on the way out, you absolute diamonds. And have a peaceful evening, guys. See you soon. Peace.